Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you today. We are very happy for this event that will be sharing with you all the achievements of the Usaid Duteze Imbere Ubutabera activity. I would like to begin by recognizing the presence of the Honorable Minister and the Attorney General, Honorable Johnson Businje. We are very happy and so grateful that you've made time to attend our event from your very busy schedule. I would also like to welcome all the participants without mentioning the names in the interest of time, but I would recognize the presence of heads of institutions of the justice sector, heads of CSOs, members of the justice sector, representatives from the development partners, lawyers, and other partners. Today, we are very happy to share with you what we've achieved through the 3-year period of Usaid Duteze Imbere Ubutabera activity. We have a slight change in the agenda that we did share with you in order to accommodate the minister's urgent commitments. The Honorable Minister will be with us for 1 hour. And on the agenda, we are going to begin with the remarks from Mrs. Cooper, Victoria, our Senior Vice President for East and Southern Africa, Kemonix. And then later I'll give a short presentation about the overview of the project. From there, we'll have 2 presentations, one on capacity building for the justice sector, as a whole, from Mr. Anastase Nabahire. And then later we'll also have another presentation on reconciliation and reintegration. After those 2 presentations, we'll have a short video on the testimonials for some of the beneficiaries of the project. And from that, we'll be very happy to receive the Honorable Minister to hear from him about his remarks. So without taking much of the time, I would like to request that we kindly listen to the remarks of our Senior Vice President, Mrs. Cooper, Victoria. She actually wanted to be us today here in Rwanda, to be with us, but she couldn't because of the COVID-19 situation. So thank you very much. Let's listen to her recorded message.
Good morning. I'm Victoria Cooper, the Senior Vice President of the East and Southern Africa region at Kemonix International, the prime contractor of the Rwanda DIU activity. It is a pleasure to be with you today virtually to celebrate the accomplishments of this activity. I would like to thank my distinguished colleagues from Usaid, various government of Rwanda entities, and the Rwandan and international organizations for their continued perseverance in increasing access to justice for citizens of Rwanda. We have seen solid strides in increased access to legal services, users empowered in the integrated electronic case management system, and bridges built to further the reconciliation of prisoners and their communities. Investing in this system ensures that all persons, regardless of their status, have access to representation with real-time data and facts. Equipping the Abunzi ensures that issues may be resolved before entering the formal court system. Now, when issues need that additional attention, they are able to be tracked from start to finish. With the support of USAID through the Rwanda DIU activity, we have seen Rwandan organizations advance their internal systems and technical fortitude in providing access to justice. To highlight a few noteworthy examples, The DIU activity built the capacity of more than 6,500 justice sector actors, including 2,836 Abunzi on mediation skills and peaceful conflict resolution. 507 judges and court registrars were trained on the effective use of the integrated electronic case management system. 2,311 lawyers and legal providers and 486 officials and staff from the justice sector institutions were trained on different topics, including on gender equality and disability inclusion. More than 10,000 victims, prisoners, family members, and community members participated in facilitated reconciliation and integration activities. Through Usaid support, DIU partners provided counseling, healing, and dialogue sessions. Over 500 prisoners were able to voluntarily seek forgiveness from and reconcile with their victims and/or their families. Over 7,000 individuals, including detainees, benefited from legal aid services both in and out of the court system. Today's event represents how far we've come and how our efforts together have resulted in true impact. Throughout this process, USAID has been extremely gracious and supporting of the productive partnership we enjoy with the Rwandan justice sector, and we are honored to have the opportunity to collaborate with you on this important work. Thank you to the phenomenal dedication of our DIU team members, the partners' passion and dedication to fulfilling their mandates, and the cooperation with all the many stakeholders. We are confident the Rwandan justice sector will continue to utilize and sustain these systems, processes, and procedures to the benefit of the Rwandan people.
Our Senior Vice President, Victoria Cooper, for those remarks. I will then give a short presentation about the DIU project, and from there we'll also hear two more presentations. But in the meantime, I would like to request our audience to kindly mute their speakers to avoid any disturbances. And also, as we'll be presenting, I would like to request that whoever will be having a question or a comment to make or need some clarification, they note them down, and towards the end of our meeting, we'll be having time to discuss and to answer questions. Thank you very much. So, Usaid Duteze Imbere Ubutabera activity is a 3-year project that was funded by Usaid. It's a project that mainly was implemented in 5 districts. Gasabo in the city of Kigali, Nyamasheke in the western province, Nyaruguru in the southern province, Musanze in the northern province, and then Bugesera in the eastern province. But apart from being focused in those 5 districts, we also have activities that cover the whole country, like the weekly radio program on legal rights, judicial processes, and the Abun system. Also the trainings, as you will hear that in the next presentations, the trainings we've had have also been covering the whole country. So the project started in February 2018, and it will be ending in January 2021. The main objectives of the project, one is to increase justice and enhance rule of law in Rwanda. The second objective is to improve the judicial effectiveness, both in the formal and in the community justice mechanism, mainly specifically Abunzi, and then to improve the public understanding of legal rights and judicial processes. The project has been implemented by 16 partners. The consortium led by Kemonix International, And you can, I think, see on your screen the other 16 implementing partners. We've had 13 local implementing partners, and then 3 international partners. I'm not going to read the whole list. Apart from these non-state partners that we've worked with, our main counterparts on the project has been the Ministry of Justice, and we are very grateful to the ministry for all the support right from the beginning of the project up to this moment. We've worked very smoothly with the ministry, especially the Justice Sector Coordination Secretariat, and they've rendered us all the necessary support. We've also worked with the Supreme Court very closely, especially on the capacity building of judges, court registrars, and other judicial personnel. It has been a great relationship that we've had with the Supreme Court and the Judicial in general, and we are grateful to that as well. Rwanda Correction Service has also been another key counterpart on this project. We've had a lot of activities in prisons, ranging from reconciliation and reintegration to legal aid activities. RCS has been very supportive. Even during the COVID-19 period, they've been able to assist us to conduct online trainings for prison paralegals, as well as sharing the audio messages for awareness of prisoners on their legal rights. And these messages have been aired on the loudspeakers in the prisons. We are really very grateful to that. We've also worked with the district authorities in the 5 districts that I mentioned, and they've supported us as needed. So we are really thankful to that. The main interventions of the project to achieve the said objectives have been capacity building, prisoner community reconciliation, public awareness, and legal aid activities. All these key interventions will be discussed in details in the presentations that will follow by different colleagues. What I would say is that among the partners that we've had, all of them have worked on capacity building. We've had different topics to train also. You'll see in the presentation on capacity building, actually all the partners have contributed to that. Regarding the prisoner community reconciliation, the main partners have been Prison Fellowship Rwanda and Fondation Dignité en Détention, DID. On public awareness, it has mainly been Search for Common Ground and Haguruka. And then on legal aid, we've had 4 partners. We've had Rwanda Bar Association. We've had actually 5. Rwanda Bar Association, Haguruka, Lawyers of Hope, IPEACE. Yeah, so those are the main partners we've had on legal aid. So I'd request that we move forward to the next presentation, which is going to be capacity building. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister of Justice and Attorney General, Head of UN agencies, international and local organizations, operation partners, good morning. It's my pleasure today to be given this opportunity to present to you what we have achieved together with Fondation DID under this activity that was supporting reconciliation and reintegration of prisoners. So, of course, my name is Jean-Paul Hwari. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of Prison Fellowship Rwanda, and I'm going to take you through this presentation. So under this activity or this component, we're having a range of objectives, and among them were to address psychosocial problems among prisoners, as well as to conduct reconciliation dialogues among detainees, victims, survivors of genocide, and prisoners' families in the communities. The third objective was to prepare prisoners in integration within communities, and also to reinforce development and ownership among communities. So the activities were implemented in several districts, and among them we have Musanze, we have Bugesera, we have Huye, where we were targeting prisoners from Nyaruguru. We have, of course, Nyamagabe, where we worked with prisoners, but of course targeting those who came from Nyaruguru and Nyamasheke districts. And lastly, we worked in Rusizi prison, where we were also targeting prisoners from Nyamasheke district. So among the activities that we implemented, we developed and disseminated information, education, and communication, what we call IC materials, to prisoners, to communities, where we wanted really to share the message, the information that could help our target beneficiaries. So, but again, we selected and trained prisoners, peer educators, in prisons, and community facilitators. These are the people who support us to implement all the activities as planned in prisons and in communities. So again, we organized counseling sessions in prisons and communities to support the healing of prisoners, but at the same time supporting the genocide survivors and the families of prisoners to heal from the past, but of course to uplift their confidence and resilience. So we conducted the integration and reconciliation trainings for prisoners, victims, and families of prisoners, both in prisons and communities. So we organized again healing dialogues for prisoners, for the survivors of genocide and families of prisoners, to ensure that we are really promoting social cohesion in prisons and communities. So we facilitated again meetings between perpetrators and victims and families on both sides. So most of the cases, we linked the prisoners with the families they offended during genocide that happened in 1994 against Tutsi. So, and we have tried our best really to promote reconciliation and social cohesion among genocide prisoners and the family they offended during genocide. So we organized again reconciliation dialogues between the prisoners and the community members. Most of the cases, we took the prisoners into the communities to dialogue with the people they offended, but of course to ask for forgiveness and to repent from the crimes they committed during genocide. So lastly, we conducted radio and TV talk shows to disseminate the message of reintegration and social cohesion to the wide audience in the country. So some of the achievements that we achieved under this activity, we managed to reach to 600 individuals, prisoners and victims of genocide. 600 people attended counseling and healing sessions. So counseling and healing sessions enable prisoners and victims to talk through events, listening to and benefiting from other stories and experience. But of course, we organize mutual counseling and healing dialogues. In Kinyarwanda, we call them vuramuvure, where we enable people to really gain the skills that could help their fellows in the community or in the prison. So again, we reached to 744 individuals. Those are victims of genocide, ex-prisoners, and family members on both sides. So these people were trained on reconciliation and reintegration. Topics include the importance of reconciliation, the role of prisoners, their families and victims in reconciliation. we created safe space for dialogues, trauma healing, forgiveness, and reconciliation. So, but again, we achieved to reach to 182 peer educators, both in prisons and communities, where we trained and we empower them to really support us in preparing prisoners and the community for integration. So they worked closely with Rwanda Correction Services, and they were trained on therapeutic facilitation techniques. So we empower them, we train them on the approach that we applied, and these people, these peer educators, they have been so supportive in terms of planning the activities as planned. So they organized as well psychosocial counseling and healing sessions within the prison, focused on discussing their law during 94 genocide against Tutsi and the importance of asking for forgiveness for the crimes they committed. We also achieved to list 550 prisoners, and these prisoners, they have asked for forgiveness to the families they offended during 94 genocide, whereby these prisoners, they have also wrote confession letters to the families they offended, and we have managed to link those prisoners with the communities to repent and ask for forgiveness from the crimes they committed. So the act of asking for forgiveness and forgiving was voluntary. Prisoners who expressed this will were facilitated to meet with their victims and the families in general. So both parties were counseled and provided with resources to prepare for this meeting and the potential outcomes. So this has been possible with the support of the peer educators that we trained, but of course with the support of the staff from DIU and Prison Fellowship Rwanda. So, but of course we organized 11 community and prisons events in the community where we reached 10,508 people. So in different districts of Rwanda where this activity was implemented. So the community events were enabled prisoners to meet with the community members and ask forgiveness. It supported as well the community members to know what happened and how and who was involved. But of course, these community events prepared community members to the return of soon to be released prisoners back in the society. So this was a process to support as well the prisoners for their reintegration process, but of course to dialogue with the families they offended, to meet with their families, but of course to tell the truth of what happened in 1994 genocide. We achieved as well to list to 15,103 people by using the TV talks, by broadcasting by working closely with different TVs in the country. So we reached to 15,103 people by different topics that were discussed through TV talks show. So among the beneficiaries, some of them, they were also involved in the TV show, but of course we invited some experts and partners to share their best practices, to share the challenges, and of course to share some successful stories from the intervention that we applied, but of course to share the information and the way the process is among the prisoners and the families they offended, of course, as well as their own families on the matter of reconciliation and reintegration. So this served as a platform for reconciliation among the families of genocide survivors and families of prisoners, as well as for the prisoners themselves, because as my colleagues shared, some of the audio messages were also broadcasted in prisons for targeting the prisoners also to listen for the message. So we hope to continue in the same line and to achieve more in the next years to come. So among other achievements, 2,456 IC materials were distributed in prisons and in different districts where we operated. And of course, we developed some booklets in the district. And in the prisons, that we help our beneficiaries to continue to lead from the best practices, but of course to learn from the challenges, and of course to show them their law that they have to pray under this process of reconciliation and reintegration. So among the challenges that we have realized, we have a high number of prisoners who want to take part of this process of reintegration, and among we have around 6,000 letters wrote by prisoners asking for forgiveness to the families of genocide survivors. So, and of course, the geographical coverage was 5 districts, and of course, we didn't even cover all the sectors from those 5 districts. So that means that there's a need to continue this intervention in some of the sectors and other districts in the country. So many of the victims and prisoners, they are still suffering from mental health disorders, which require long-term interventions, and this has been also revealed by the survey that has been conducted by Rwanda Biomedical Center recently, and it shows that there's a need, of course, to support the genocide survivors in terms of healing from the past. So, and of course, the effect of COVID-19 was also a challenge in terms of implementing all the activities as planned. One of the challenges also that we recorded, we are still having some prisoners who are still hesitant to tell the truth about what happened, which can lead to continued suspicion. So we have genocide prisoners who are still denying, who are still really hesitant, who are still even discouraging the people who are taking the path to reconciliation. And this is a challenge that we have to deal and to address together. So, and of course, ex-prisoners face lower self-esteem, limited social relationships, self-isolation, and sometimes they face stigma. And this can be understood because of what they have really done during genocide, because this is really a serious crime. But of course, we have to support them in the process to ensure that once they are released, once they are integrated in the community, they become effective members of the community. So another challenge is the lack of the means for the ex-prisoners to secure and maintain employment. So as you know that the majority of the people who committed genocide, some of them, they didn't even finish the high school or the secondary school. So they need to be supported in the process in terms of getting some technical skills that could help them to really adapt to the market once they are released in the community. But of course, some of them, they don't know how to read and write. So there are some skills that they need to help them to be effective upon their release in the community. So among the reasons learned, of course, reconciliation is a long time. It's a journey, and it requires a facilitated dialogues on both sides. So we need to engage both sides into the process to ensure that we are achieving our targets, our goals in the future. So, and of course, a significant number of prisoners that are willing to be supported to meet their victims, to tell the truth and to reconcile. So, as I mentioned, we have around 6,000 letters wrote by prisoners. So we need to prepare those prisoners to meet with the survivors, but of course to tell the truth for their own families, because most of them, they have lied to them that they are innocent. So now they want to reveal the truth to both sides. I mean, the genocide survivors and their own families. So we are still having also ex-prisoners who still need a follow-up for post-imprisonment. So this is a post-release support. We need to really accompany these people to make sure that they are really contributing to the development of the country, but of course to ensure that they are really empowered economically and socially, as well as to ensure that we are dealing with their emotions in the community. So another lesson that we learned under this activity is that we need to deal with the youth from the genocide survivors and on the side of the genocide prisoners. because most of the youth, they are still, they don't know the history of the country, and most of them, they are really, they are affected by intergenerational transmission of trauma. So we need to engage the youth into the process of reconciliation, but also into the process of psychosocial healing. So we need also to support the local authorities to undertake fostering reconciliation, such as organizing community events for prisoners to ask for forgiveness and to reconcile with the community. So this will ensure sustainability of what we are doing once the local authorities, the leaders, they own the process, and of course they have all the necessary skills and capacity to undertake the process. So, but again, local authorities and other key community actors need to be trained on how to continue supporting the long-term reconciliation and effective reintegration of ex-prisoners. So, of course, we need to bring on board all the key actors, all the concerned local authorities, partners in the community, to ensure that we are really working together to ensure that reintegration is well maintained, is well prepared, and to ensure that those people are back in the community, they're going to be effective members of the society. So another reason learned is that we need to really empower economically the ex-prisoners, but not only the ex-prisoners, the genocide survivors and the families of prisoners to really initiate some livelihood activities that could help them to really benefit from those interventions, but also to make sure that they are really building their self-reliance and they are really taking they are being responsible for their own well-being in the future, because we have seen that most of the prisoners who are coming back in the community, they are still dependent, so they want to be really supported in the process. So, but of course, we have seen that even their families, they are still struggling. So we need to take both parties into the process in terms of building their capacity, in terms of building their resilience. So thank you so much for your kind attention to this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jean-Paul Ntwari. Jean-Paul has been doing a presentation for us on reconciliation and reintegration, the achievements by the project. Now we are going to follow a presentation on capacity building for the justice sector. It's going to be delivered by Mr. Anastase Nabahire. Mr. Anastase Nabahire is the Director General of the Justice Sector Coordination Directorate. As I mentioned earlier, we worked very closely with the coordination, with the Justice Sector Coordination, for all the activities, but mainly regarding capacity building. They've been assisting a lot in sending out the invitations, working together to organize these activities. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Anastase Nabahire to give us this presentation. let's have Mr. Victor Mugabe to give us the presentation on legal aid activities.
Honorable Minister of Justice and Attorney General, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Victor Mugabe from the Rwanda Bar Association, and I'm privileged to present the DIU project achievements in relation to the provision of the legal aid services with the needy people during the past 3 years of the project. As said by Frank in his introductory remarks, legal aid was one of the important parts of the DIU project. So the services provided by the actors were actually provided by different actors, including the Legal Aid Forum, the Rwanda Bar Association, Haguruka, Lawyers of Hope, and IPEACE, and some other legal aid providers. So what I'm going to say in my presentation is to just provide in brief the achievements of the legal aid activities under the DIU project. So the provision of legal aid assistance with the needy had a number of objectives, including the reduction of case backlogs and enabling the poor and indigent people access justice. So through legal aid services, the DIU project managed to assist more than 7,000 individuals, including 4,612 women and more than 2,008 men within communities and prisons. The project also facilitated legal education and information events for more than 40,000 individuals. Under legal aid, the project provided legal aid nationwide with emphasis on 5 targeted districts, including Nyamasheke, Musanze, Nyaruguru, Bugesera, and Gasabo. May I request the technician to move for the next? Okay. As you can see on the charts, we showing the types of legal aid services that were provided and beneficiaries reached in terms of number. So the first combination of charts, so the blue color represents the women, while red color represents men. So for the first combination of charts, so the project assisted in advocacy 504 beneficiaries, including 362 women and 142 men. So the second one is the legal representation or legal assistance in court. So the project assisted 1,368 in total, including 571 women and 797 men. Regarding legal advice, really this component reached a big number of beneficiaries, where we have more than 2,600 beneficiaries, including 1,642 women and 1,014 men. The next, the fourth combination of charts, we have 734 beneficiaries that were given legal briefs or court submissions, including 500 women and 233 men. The fifth chart is made of legal information and education. As we all may know, the legal information and legal education are parts of legal aid services that we do provide with the needy. So here, at this component, we reached 234, including 165 women and 69 men. So we also had mediation support to the needy, whereby 240 people benefited from the service, including 143 women and 97 men. Negotiation as well reached 24 beneficiaries, including 9 women and 15 men. So regarding the legal orientation or referral system or accompaniment, the project reached more than 1,700 beneficiaries, including 1,219 women and 501 men. So the last and maybe not the least, but a very important component of this project was the DNA test as another new support to the needy. So this one was conducted by Legal Aid Forum, but it really contributed in these endeavors because for the first time in this country, we, the legal aid providers, provided support to have DNA tests in judicial proceedings. So it reached 36 beneficiaries, including 33 women and 3 men. Now, the next slide, please. How were legal aid services provided? So the legal aid services were provided through one-on-one interaction with beneficiaries at legal aid centers, in prisons, at RIB stations, and during community mobile legal aid clinics. The services were also provided through the legal representation in courts. Awareness campaign played a very big role in these programs through mobile legal aid clinics and legal aid weeks in community and prisons, but also in the recent period of COVID and its related lockdown, the phone calls, WhatsApp, and emails really played an important role. Next. So the Legal Aid Week, we are all familiar with this event that has lasted in this country for more than 10 years, that is conducted annually. So through these projects, we had 2 Legal Aid Weeks. One was conducted in January 2019, which reached more than 40,000 beneficiaries through the community and in the 5 districts that were targeted by this project. And the legal aid activities, as you may all know, it actually tries to bring justice or legal services nearer to the people. So it also raised awareness on legal rights through the community, and in collaboration of the local authorities, we tried and we continue to resolve some disputes in the community with the support of the local authorities. In recent Legal Aid Week that were conducted recently in November, it was conducted in a very particular environment of COVID, where we used the radio and TV shows, social media platforms, hotlines, and electronic dissemination of education and awareness materials. So you can see the picture that is presented on the slides. So we tried to use the media channels as much as possible. During that period, the legal aid were actually characterized by the important themes that are listed there, including legal aid services during COVID-19, prevention of GBV during the COVID, the use of ICT in the provision of legal aid services, the child protection and prevention of child abuse during the COVID, the court-annexed mediation, which is even provided these days, and the role of civil society in the provision of legal aid services. So this project will be always remembered by its legacy of leaving behind the legal aid provision standards. These were created on these forms, and those forms and those standards provide guidelines for the provision of services, which includes indicators and evaluation criteria for the quality of services provided. And through the partnership with the Haguruka, Rwanda Bar Association Legal Aid Forum, we developed the labs on GBV, civil and family and criminal cases. So as far as capacity building are concerned, the legal aid providers benefited from the capacity building programs on labs. So here we have lawyers that were trained. You can see the figures. We have paralegals, we have law students, we have abunzi, local leaders, and MAJ. So the figures are on the chart. So during the execution of this project, we faced some challenges. And among the few challenges that we experienced include the high demand for legal aid support, so the limited access to legal support for most detainees at the early stage of arrest and interrogation, actually at the RIB level, the limited IT literacy and knowledge on the electronic case management system, and disconnect in delivery of legal aid services across different justice actors, especially civil society, resulting in the duplication of efforts. So during the lockdown and COVID-19, so many activities that are required to be on the field were not conducted because of the restriction against COVID. But nevertheless, we tried our effort, and electronic and online training were conducted electronically. Nevertheless, the project has left behind success stories. For example, the project has facilitated the 19 mobile legal aid clinics. The DNA test, that is something very important that you have to retain. And the early stage legal assistance show that in criminal matters, most cases were actually assisted, and a big percentage of people assisted at early stage were released, which is a very good lesson. And out of more than 1,300 indigents that were assisted, we obtained a big number of people that were released or who got their sentences lessened by the courts as a result of legal assistance by the lawyers. So the project also has left behind the improved harmonization of practice among legal aid providers through the adoption of the use of legal aid provision standards. So we've seen that the early legal aid assistance representation is very important at the investigation and the prosecution level, because we saw that more than 50% of the people assisted at early stage got released. Regarding the paternity search and GBV cases involving assault, it is critical to support victims with DNA testing, as I said earlier. So the development and the use of the legal aid standards, the LAPs, ensures quality and harmonious provision of legal aid. So this project also strengthens the collaboration between the legal aid providers and the local authority. So I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor. As I did mention before, that presentation from Mr. Victor was done on behalf of the 5 partner organizations that we worked together with regarding legal aid support, which is Rwanda Bar Association, Haguruka, the Legal Aid Forum, Lawyers of Hope, and Initiatives for Peace and Human Rights, IPEACE. So thank you very much. As I also noted at the beginning of our meeting, whoever has any questions or comments they want to make, please note them. We'll have the time to discuss all those and to even get responses from the panelists, from the presenters. As I did mention also at the beginning of our meeting, we are very honored to be with the Honorable Minister of Justice and the Attorney General, Honorable Johnson Businje. And as I also did mention, the Honorable Minister has other commitments, and he had given us 1 hour to be with us. Now we are almost 1 hour into our meeting, and at this juncture, it's my pleasure to welcome the Honorable Minister of Justice and Attorney General to give us his remarks, and then we'll continue with the presentations. And I would also like to apologize for the technical issues that we've had. This event is being streamed live, so probably that's why we are having some technical challenges, but we hope they're going to be resolved. So it's my great honor to welcome the Honorable Minister to give us his remarks.
Thank you very much, moderator. There seems to be an echo. The USAID country representative, the representatives of different justice sector institutions and partners, ladies and gentlemen, allow me first and foremost to thank all of you for having managed to respond to this invitation and attend this closeout ceremony. Allow me also to apologize for my shortness of time. Some event came up last evening that I could not afford to not attend, which I will be going to attend a little bit late because of this one. Otherwise, I would have loved to be part of DIU throughout. I personally express not only my satisfaction for what has been realized by this project with the support of the American people, but also on behalf of all members of the justice sector family. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Rwanda and the Justice, Reconciliation, Law and Order sector members feel great pride engaging with partners to deliver quality services to our people. We appreciate the support provided by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, in enabling the execution of this Duteze Ubutabera project. We also love the Rwandan name of the project. We thank the DIU team, the excellent partners, the soft and sophisticated, again, partners with whom we have worked, the dedicated stakeholders for the commendable work done and the achievements realized within this short period of time of over 3 years. As we learned in the presentations, in line with the justice sector strategy, vision, and commitments, this project tackled issues across the justice sector, ranging from capacity building of abunzi, legal aid services for those in need, support improvements to related to the Iecms system, and many other supports. DIU also facilitated reconciliation between prisoners and victims, including families, as well as supporting the effective reintegration of prisoners back into communities. Lastly, DIU steadfastly worked to increase public awareness of key laws, judicial processes, both in formal courts and the abunzi system, as well as, and very importantly, people's legal rights. Capacity building to justice actors and justice sector institutions staff is critical in enabling justice sector institutions to effectively deliver on their mandates, as well as improve the service delivery to Rwandans, whom we are all here for. We also hail the collaboration that the project has had with the various justice sector institutions, including the Supreme Court, our ministry, the prosecution, the correctional service, civil society organizations, and many others. We encourage this example of mutual, transparent, and citizen-centered collaboration. Most importantly, it was flexible, it was soft. Today, we celebrate the impressive achievements of the Duteze Imbere Ubutabera project. But we also recognize that despite the commendable work we have done, much more needs to be done. The need for capacity building never stops, and new challenges and developments arise that warrant new solutions. The support for the abunzi focused in 5 target districts, and its success should be replicated in other districts. Iecms is a modern and evolving tool. More support is needed to continuously improve and update the system and ensure full management and ownership of the system by our own teams. Additionally, the public can benefit so greatly from this system, so constant communication and information sharing on the system and how it works will increase access to justice across the population. Prisoners keep completing their sentences, presenting ongoing needs to support their effective reintegration into the community and to peacefully and harmoniously live with their neighbors, victims, and community members in general. This is an area that we keep looking at all the time. On behalf of the government of Rwanda, I want to thank the United States government for the support, not only for this project, but for the dedication across other interventions and bilateral programs with our government. As the justice sector, we wish to see more of USAID partnership in the sector to enable us realize more and more our development strategies and commitments. I thank you all again for your contribution towards the achievement of the broad justice sector mission and vision, all for the benefit of the Rwandan people. And finally, thank you for I wish you I take this opportunity to wish all of you a wonderful end of year 2020, and thank you for your very kind attention. Thank you very much.
And Attorney General, it has indeed been a great honor for us to have you on this event. We are very grateful for having saved time from your very busy schedule to share with us these remarks. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is going to be a short testimonial video for a few project beneficiaries. As you've heard, the project has reached a very big number of people, but we've identified a few because of the time, and I call you all upon to listen to these few beneficiaries. Thank you very much.
Nitwa Mukanwari Venantia. Njye nashakanye n'umugabo mu buryo bwemewe n'amategeko. Turabana, ariko tukimara gushakana nahise ntangira guhura n'ibibazo. Musanga ari umuntu w'umujura, ari umusinzi, ari umuntu ukunda abagore ku buryo butandukanye. Nyuma yaho akiba, uko yibye bakaba baramufunze, nkamurihira mu by'iwacu, iwabo basa nkaho bamuciye kubera ubujura bwe, mbese kubera ingeso yagiraga. Umugabo turabana, umwaka urashira, undi urashira, ariko tukabana mu buryo bubi, nkubitwa buri munsi, nkarara hanze buri munsi, kandi icyo gihe twari tunakodesheje, ngura akabanza, aba ninjye kwigurira, ngerageza kubakamo inzu, ariko abaturage nabo baramfasha bakurikije ubuzima babonaga ndimo. Yagerageje kuvuga ati ikibanza tukigurisha. Umuntu yangiriye inama, aravuga ati ariko urinda wapfa gutyo, haguruka ntihari. Nanjye mbyumva vuba, ndaza koko. Hageze ni ukuri pe, banyakiriye neza, bampa umwavoka, ndaburana, ndatsinda, ibyo twari dufite barabitugabanya, rwose numva ngize umutekano n'amahoro. Kugeza ubu ngubu uburyo ndiho, numva ntuje mu mutima, nkumva mfite amahoro. Rwose ubuzima mfite ubu ngubu mbukesha uyu mushinga, kuko nari mfuye nabi pe, byanatumye nkurizamo n'iki kibazo cyo kuziba amatwi. Ndashimira uyu mushinga kuko wangiriye neza.
Nitwa Kairwa David, habaye ku 25 z'ukwezi kwa 11 fatwa n'ubugenzacyaha, aho bankeka ko nabanisha umuntu wakomoka mu mudugudu wa Bihe, ariko banyitiranya n'undi muntu witwa Twahirwa. Inzego z'umutekano kuri ko ngeze ari zizi, abangeze za gufata, banyohereza njya gufunga muri gereza Rubavu maramo umwaka. Itangazo ryacishwe ku buyobozi bwa gereza rivuga ngo abantu bose bakeneye ubufasha mu mategeko bazamuke bahure n'abunganizi hanze. Nageze hanze nsanga hari umwunganizi witwa Maître Pascal Karega. Nyakubahwa Maître, nje ndi hano ndega umuntu ntazi icyo nakoze, ahubwo nitiranwa amazina. Arambwira tuzaburana najyari 17 z'ukwa 10, nawe tuzahura mu rukiko. Ntabwo nabyumvishe, numvisha ari umuntu kunkoraho uburoko, ko nanzi ko umuryango wanjye atabona 500 byo kwishura umwunganizi. Mu buzima nari ndimo, nari mfite abana b'imfubyi nareraga. Mu buzima bungoye kubera ko nyina yari amaze nk'amezi 5 apfuye. Birambabaza, nari nigunze, ariko nagiye Imana yo mu ijuru namwe mubimfashijemo. Nageze mu rukiko nsanga Maître Karega yahantanze. Ntabwo nzi ko ibyo bintu bibaho mu gihugu cyo, nk'umuntu wari ufunzwe ntazi amategeko, ntazi itegeko na rimwe, ntazi itegeko rindengera, ntazi itegeko rimfunga. Nahagaze mu rukiko nawe mpagarara iruhande. Nagiye kumva numva arampamagaye, arambaza ngo waratashe. Naratashe rwose, byarandenze, ntabwo nawe uko mbivuga. Umva, ndashimira umushinga Duteze Imbere Ubutabera watekereje ku bantu bari muri gereza badafite ubushobozi. Icyo nshimira uko ndi hanze, mwarakoze, Imana ibongerere, mujye muri gereza harimo imbabare nyinshi. Nasaba ngo mujyeho buri munsi, mugwane ku bantu bari mu karengane, kuko icyo mukora Imana niyo izakibahembera.
Nitwa Anosiyata Mukanyarwaya. Dufite abanyarwanda bene wacu bari hariya mu magereza, natwe turi hanze. Hagati y'ubona harimo umupaka w'uko bafungiye icyaha, ku ruhande rwacu badukoreye icyaha, nabo bari hariya kandi muri iyi myaka baragenda bataha barangiza icyaha gihano. Ubwo rero nibwo twabonye ko Dide rwose yakoze ku kintu gikomeye, ikaduhuza n'abariya bavandimwe bacu kugira ngo bazaze n'ubundi twaraganiriye tubizi mbega mu muryango wacu, kimwe nuko n'abandi bari hanze barangiza igihano kera tubanye neza. Ariko Dide mu kanya gato yarije twatangiye duhamagarana, tuvugana, dutashyana, ndetse hakabaho n'abamaze gutera intambwe y'uko twajyaga no kuri gereza kubasura tukavugana ku mateka. Nkanjye nakunze kugenda kuri gereza cyane, ku magereza ya Huye, Nyamagabe na Rusizi, abo twaganiriye bari batangiye kutubwira n'ahantu hari imibiri y'abacu tutari tunazi ngo kugira ngo tuzayibone. Biranagaragara mu bigeze mu cyaro iwacu, mu tugari, mu midugudu, mu buyobozi, byarahindutse cyane. Byarahindutse aho usanga genda nk'umugore ufite umugabo ufunze arayobora itsinda rihuriye ngo bacitse ku icumu n'uriyobora, barahura ku gikorwa cyaba cy'ubuhinzi, hari n'amatsinda yo kwizigama, ugasanga niwe muyobozi waryo, barahana amafaranga bakazigama bakiteza imbere, niba uri kuri konti ku mabanki. Icyo ni icyizere tuba dufitanye. Noneho ukajya usanga yiba yagiye mu yakaza avuga ati umutware wanjye arabatashye, tukamubwira tuti umutashye nawe nagire yitegura azaze garuke mu muryango. Ugasanga barahana inka, mu gushyingirana turashyingirana rwose, twasubiye kubaka bwa bumwe twariho mbere y'94.
That was a short video about the testimonies of just 3 of our beneficiaries. But as you've heard, the project has had thousands of beneficiaries, but that was just a sample of the testimonies. At this moment, I would like to introduce again Mr. Anastase Nabahire. I hope the technical issues have been resolved now. So we are going to forward the presentation on capacity building for the justice sector. Welcome, Mr. Nabahire.
Thank you, Mr. Frank. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And thank you. This is a big event. I faced many times a problem of connectivity. This is why I would suggest that I do not start my video. Simply go through this presentation. Do you hear me, Mr. Frank?
I hear you very well. I hope other participants also
Hello?
are able to hear you.
Thank you.
We can hear you, Mr. Anastase.
Thank you very much. This short presentation will talk of... Thank you very much. This short presentation will cover what has been realized in terms of capacity building in this sector, and will not be long. We talk of activities that have been implemented, go through achievements, and in terms of building capacity for abunzi mediation, abunzi judges. Actually, the capacity building activities that these projects supported were comprehensive. This project covered all needs, capacity needs assessment, the capacity development strategy, from which the assessment report was validated by the steering committee, and then findings informed what the project started programming the support and outreach strategies, media relations and use of social media, monitoring and evaluation, and learning, technical and social inclusion, and learning, technical and social inclusion, legal aid provision standards, and of training about the relation trainings focused on mediation skills and techniques using practical case studies and able to effectively initiate and conduct and conclude mediation sessions by properly respecting mediation procedures. Initiate and conduct this scheme as drawn by the Rwandan government. That is different from other mediation schemes we do know. Our Abunzi conduct first a facilitative process, after which they are allowed to litigate. Once the two parties are not able to reach an agreement,
Mr. Anastas is still having technical issues. We can't really hear you very well. So we are going to have Mr. Kalisa Narcis as our next presenter. Mr. Kalisa Narcis is going to give us a presentation on public awareness on legal rights and judicial processes, as Mr. Anastas will be trying to sort out the network issues. So I would like to call upon Mr. Kalisa Narcis to give us the presentation on public awareness. And, you know, we are going to work with Mr. Anastas to see that the technical issues are resolved on his side. Thank you very much.
Okay. Dear DIU partners, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is, as Frank has just mentioned, my name is Narcis Kalisa. I'm the National Director for Search for Common Ground, a conflict transformation organization. We have been honored to be a partner in the implementation of Duteze, Imbere, Ubutabera. And as part of the DIU implementation team, we have been involved in the training of Abunzi and the public awareness component. And I would like to say that the public awareness component that I'm presenting now had the following objectives. The first one was informing citizens of the existing justice system, formal courts, and the Abunzi mechanism, and how they function. And the second one was informing the public about the available legal services and how they can be accessed. The third objective was to educate the public on their rights, how to access legal information, and how to self-advocate. And the last one, promoting the ex-prisoner community reconciliation process. Our approach included a combination of mass and face-to-face communication as an effective approach to maximize the public awareness. So, as I have just said, we had a combination of different tools. One was the use of the radio, and the second one was the participatory theater. We used also the community dialogues and the social media systems. Regarding the radio programs, before talking about the radio programs, I would like to say that we raised awareness on justice processes, particularly focusing on key laws and self-advocacy skills. We raised awareness on abunzi work in the community, rights and the judicial processes, and we raised awareness on access to justice legal aid institutions. Regarding the radio programs, we produced and aired an interactive DIU or Duteze Imbere Ubutabera radio program, and the program was broadcast on a weekly basis, and we used 5 different radio stations: Radio Izuba in Eastern Province, Radio Energy in Musanze, Radio Isangano in Western Province, Radio Huye of RBA in Southern Province, and Radio Isango Star in Kigali. And weekly feedback was sought through listeners calling in, SMS, and social media, particularly Facebook. In total, we produced 106 radio programs, and an estimated 1,200,000 people were reached by our radio programs. Apart from the radio programs, we also conducted some community dialogues in the community, and mainly these community dialogues were conducted by Search for Common Ground and also Haguruka in the 5 target districts. Around 48,737 people were reached throughout Nyaruguru, Nyamasheke, Musanze, Bugesera, and Gasabo. The interactive sessions were facilitated by the DIU project staff with the support of MAJ in the districts. The events served a platform to discuss peaceful conflict resolution mechanisms, the role of abunzi, legal rights, and judicial processes. I would also like to mention that the community dialogues provided a space for local leaders to respond to citizens' issues regarding the judicial systems and also the cases that they have with their neighbors. We also organized some participatory theater. This is a kind of drama in which actors develop a unique scenario for each performance based on the reality or knowledge of the community, which is then performed with audience members directly involved. spectators feel engaged in the performance, and rather than being told what to do or think by the actors, the audiences see their own neighbors and friends acting out appropriate ways to address issues identified in the community. The drama is followed by discussions on the issues identified in the community. The participatory theater was conducted only in Nyamasheke, in 4 districts, in 4 sectors of Nyamasheke, which are Kyato, Kirimbi, Bushenge, and Kagano. So these are the numbers of people who attended the 4 performances of participatory theater in the 4 sectors of Nyamasheke. Apart from what I have just mentioned, we also produced and distributed IC materials, information, communication, and education materials. The Usaid DIU developed and disseminated different IC materials. And the first one was on uburyo bwo gukemura amakimbirane mu bwumvikane, which was produced in collaboration with the Ministry of Justice and distributed in the 5 target districts. And the second one, which is ibyibanze ukwiye kumenya ku itegeko rirengera umwana, was produced as brochures and also booklets, and produced by Haguruka. Results. These are the kind of feedbacks that we collected when from our beneficiaries in the different sectors of the target districts. For example, in Nyabimata sector, when we conducted our community dialogue, someone told us that was the Ruhinga Cell Executive Secretary. Before the community dialogue, we generally received between 15 and 20 cases per month, but we used to only resolve the half of the disputes. But after the community dialogue, we now managed to help at least 90% of the disputants peacefully resolve the disputes. And this is what we were told by the executive secretary of Rohingya Cell. So we have some other testimonies that were collected at the closure, before the closure of this project. The challenges: the community dialogues were organized during weekly community assemblies in inteko z'abaturage, and sometimes we observed conflicting agendas. So it means that sometimes we could organize some community dialogues, and when they collided with community assemblies, with a local authority having something to say to the local citizens, and we had some problems of conflicting agendas, and we did not have enough time to really talk about some of to achieve the objectives of our project. But that happened at the very beginning of the project, but at the end of the day, we were able to solve the problem and were given enough time to talk to the population. The effects of COVID-19 forced us to revise the radio program format from live broadcast to pre-recorded radio programs, which changed the format of the radio programs, and then the radio programs became pre-recorded instead of becoming somehow interactive, providing a space to the listeners to voice out their concerns. And another thing, the community dialogues were posed somehow in Bugesera, Gasabo, and part of Musanze districts due to the restrictions related to the pandemic. And another one, local authorities invited community members to community dialogue sessions. However, in some cases, community members were not informed to attend in big numbers. So that was also a problem at the very beginning, but later on, when we had strengthened our working relationships with the local authorities, this challenge was solved. Lessons learned. The first lesson, the use of local and community radios can gain greater grassroots involvement. And this is a lesson that we have learned during the implementation of this project. It's better to use, I think it is better to use community radio stations when you want to achieve or to target the rural communities, because this is an effect of proximity, because these radio stations are near the people that we are targeting. Collaboration with local authorities and MAJ was key in ensuring the effective implementation of community engagement and education activities, because it creates this kind of platform for discussion between the local leaders and the citizens. A third lesson, social media networks, if strategically used, can engage the youth and benefit vulnerable populations. So this was observed when we were using particularly Facebook during the broadcast of our shows. And when the youth were given an opportunity of asking questions, they were asking questions for on behalf of vulnerable populations. And the vulnerable populations were supported by the youth who were much more informed by them, than them. The use of community-based systems could be more effective in disseminating information and raising awareness on key laws, rights, and justice processes. And the last one, the use of these systems, like the community focal persons, listenership clubs, and radio program ambassadors, could enable those engaged in the systems to conduct advocacy on issues affecting the citizens. So I thank you very much. This is what we have been able to do under this project. And I thank you very much for your support in the implementation of the different activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Narcissus Karisa, the Country Director of Search for Common Ground. As we are waiting to hear from the last presentation that will be done by Mr. Anastase, I would like us to follow the documentary video, which was also part of the agenda, as we wait for Mr. Anastase to resolve the technical issues. Please, kindly let's follow.
Since February 2018, the Usaid Duteze Imbere Ubutabera project has embarked on improving judicial effectiveness in both formal courts and community justice abonzi through a series of targeted and needs-based trainings, enabling access to justice for indigent people and vulnerable groups through legal aid provision, promoting prisoners' community reconciliation and reintegration through facilitated healing dialogues and improving public understanding of judicial processes and legal rights.
We are very proud of the partnership that we've had with the justice sector institutions. We've assisted more than 7,000 individuals, with legal aid services. We've reached out to more than 10,000, people in reconciliation and reintegration activities. We've trained more than 5,000 people, including Abunzi and other actors on different topics. So that capacity building, we believe it's going to contribute a lot to improving the performance of the justice sector and service delivery within the sector.
Umushinga wongereye ubushobozi abagenzacyaha, abashinjacyaha, abacamanza, abakozi b'abanyamategeko mu nzego za leta zinyuranye, abashinzwe kumenyekanisha ibikorwa, abashinzwe ikurikirana bikorwa. Igishimishije nuko habanzaga gukorwa isesengura rigamije kureba ni hehe hakenewe koko kubaka ubushobozi.
DIU has contributed a lot in increasing public awareness on laws, legal rights, and judicial processes through community dialogues, participatory theater sessions, and interactive radio programs on 5 radio stations covering the whole country.
Nkuko bisanzwe kuva kuwa kane guhera ku isaha 11 tuba turi mu kiganiro duteze imbere ubutabera.
Aho ntangiriye kumva ikiganiro cya duteze imbere ubutabera nuko hari ibyo nagiye menya mu bijyanye n'amategeko ndetse nkabasha no gufasha abandi. Hari ibintu bimwe abantu bakoraga bataza amategeko cyangwa se hakaba hari n'uburenganzira bumwe batitagaho. Urumva abantu batangiye kujya baharanira uburenganzira bwabo.
1,359,852 people have been reached by different public awareness activities.
Byatumye abantu benshi bamenya ko banahohoterwa, batera n'intambwe yo kudusanga ubwo twajyaga mu nteko z'abaturage, ibibazo banabazaga. Hari ijambo uzumva banakoresha gutwara ruhutse kuko yaburaga n'uwabibwira.
Baranyakiriye baramfasha, bamumavoka, ndaburana, ndatsinda, ibyo twari dufite barabitugabanya, rwose numva ngize umutekano n'amahoro.
DIU has provided legal aid services to indigents and vulnerable people, both in prisons and in the community, through legal representation, legal advice, advocacy, drafting of legal briefs, and legal orientation or referrals.
Hasize amezi 10 ndi muri gereza, ngiye kubona ngo abakene bufasha mu mategeko muzamuke mwihuse mujye kubona na metre hanze. Nahagaze mu rukiko naho mpagarara ruhande byarandenze ntago naho kuro mbivuga.
DIU project has trained different actors and staff in the justice sector on different topics, including on the use of the Integrated Electronic Case Management System, Iecms, that have contributed to the improved performance and service delivery in the judicial system, both formal courts and Abunzi system, as well as in the justice sector at large.
One of the major achievements that we celebrate today is that we have the biggest number of personnel that have benefited from the capacity building that was given as far as the use of this system is concerned. I may say over 500 judges and registrars were trained on the use of the electronic case management.
Service delivery has improved greatly because it has been, now it's much more mobile. I can sit here, I deliver the judgment.
Mujye waje baduhuguraho cyane badusaba ko iyo abantu baje batugana ubanza ukabakira ukabumva ukumva impande zombi.
The Usaid DIU project played a great role in community prisoners' reconciliation and reintegration. Prisoners, mainly perpetrators of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, victims and survivors, family members on both sides, and members of the community where the crime was committed, were reconciled through facilitated prisoners' victims counseling and healing sessions, prisoners' community reconciliation and reintegration events, as well as trainings on reconciliation and reintegration.
uraho umushinguzi uraza uratwigisha imitima yacu iruruka umva ko mugenzi wawe abashije kuza kugusaba imbabazi wazimuha rero nabo bateye intambwe baraza badusaba imbabazi natwe Imana iradufasha imbabazi turazitanga.
Twakoze jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi mu 1994 kukwiheba rero n'ukuntu nzahura n'abantu niciye abantu nkibaza ukuntu nzasohoka mu muryango nyarwanda nkibaza ukuntu nzarebana nabo nkumva afite ikintu cyipfumwe gikomeye rero baraje baratwigisha umutima kubwanya umutima warabohotse numva ari ibintu byiza cyane kandi byangiriye akamaro ngeze hanze abacitse ku icumu rya jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi turatumirana tubana neza kuko bana neza nuko uwo muryango ari wo wabigize mu ruhare.
The Usaid DIU activity has also ensured the promotion of gender and disability inclusion in all programs and interventions.
It was an opportunity for us to transfer the knowledge on rights of persons' abilities, like between brackets, disability rights, disability inclusion, so that they, in their day-to-day work, they may include persons with abilities. That's an interest for us. And then it's also expanding what we are calling disability mainstreaming into other organizations' work.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Anastas is still having some technical issues. I'm going to present you the presentation on capacity building that we've done with the justice sector. I'll request my colleague to move to the next slide. Usaid DIU has done a lot with regard to capacity building of the sector, and we've actually reached out to many institutions in the sector. But before conducting the trainings, we did an assessment of the capacity needs within the sector. The assessment was very comprehensive. We reached out to all the institutions of the sector, public institutions, and civil society organizations, members of the sector. The assessment was validated by the steering committee of the sector. You can see that photo is the validation meeting of the steering committee of the sector. Then all the capacity building activities actually were guided by this assessment. Can we move to the next slide, please? Regarding the activities that were implemented in capacity building, we conducted trainings for Abunzi. We also had trainings on the Iecms. We did a number of trainings on communication and outreach for staff of the justice sector. We also conducted a training on media relations and the use of social media, then monitoring, evaluation, and learning. We've also had a number of trainings related to gender and social inclusion, as well as the training on the provision of legal aid, so legal aid standards. Next slide, please. Regarding the achievements, we've trained 2,836 abunzi in the 5 districts that we targeted. As I mentioned, Nyaruguru, Nyamasheke, Musanze, Bugesera, and Gasabo. The training focused on mediation techniques, and we used practical cases. So before the training, we developed the, we actually updated, because there was already a training manual for Abunzi. We worked with the Ministry of Justice, specifically the Access to Justice Department, to update this manual. We included a number of case studies to make the training practical. So, during the training with the Abunzi were able to initiate, actually after, with this training, what we've been monitoring through the MAJ legal officers, because we've been in touch with MAJ on a daily basis, and MAJ are the ones that are in charge of monitoring the Abunzi work. It has been reported that nowadays Abunzi are able to effectively initiate, conduct, and conclude mediation sessions with respect to all the procedures that are required. Next slide, please. Also, during the Abunzi trainings, Usaid DIU provided the tools that Abunzi need in their daily work, and these included registers, carbon papers, and different forms they use while conducting the mediation process. So they include those that they use to invite the parties to the proceedings, the drafting of conclusions. They have a number of forms they use. So that picture is of the Abunzi with the materials. And then regarding the Iecms, can we go back, please? The project has been able to train 1,341 justice and legal actors, and you can see the list there below. So judges and court registrars, we were able to actually train 507 judges, registrars, and other judicial personnel. We also trained prosecutors, lawyers, MAJ, legal aid providers. So all those were reached by the Iecms trainings. And this Iecms training was really very comprehensive. It was a full week of the training, and it was very practical. And here I would mention that we worked very closely with the Institute of Legal Practice and Development in delivering most of these trainings on the Iecms with the good facilities that they have. Next, please. In addition to the trainings that we've conducted, we also supported the Supreme Court with the study tour to Estonia to continue enriching their knowledge, as well as to share with them their experiences about the use of e-governance and specifically e-justice. They discussed about digital profile management and administration while they were there. The performance management, which will come back on later, regarding what we've been supporting the Supreme Court on, and then how the information can be well kept, and then the day-to-day running of the courts. I would say that Estonia is one of the advanced countries in the world with regard to the use of e-justice and e-governance in general. Also, the project supported in updating the system itself, apart from the trainings that we've conducted for different actors, but we've also been working with the Supreme Court to improve the system where necessary. This is just one example of the functionality that was updated in the system, the appeals functionality, which enabled the parties to the case having their case automatically joined at the appeals level, which significantly reduced the work of the court registrars, because before the court registrars had to manually combine the cases. I mean the case for parties at the appeals level. Now it's being done within the system automatically. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we are supporting the Supreme Court to develop the performance management system for both judicial, which is the judges and court registrars, and then the non-judicial staff. So this system will enable the judiciary to track the achievement of their strategic plan, as well as the individual performance of judicial and non-judicial staff. So the judiciary performance monitoring system was developed into two phases. So the first phase focused on the non-judicial staff, and that is almost complete now. We've only received some feedback from the Supreme Court that the company is now integrating. And then next month we are going to start the development of the second component, which will be focusing on the judicial staff. We are working with a company that did assist in the development of the Iecms itself, Synergy International. Synergy International is the one that is the company that you're working with to develop this system. Also, next please. The project also supported the international conference that was organized on this Iecms system. And the international conference was graced by the former Honorable Chief Justice, Professor Sam Rwanda, together with the Minister of ICT. The aim of the meeting was to share lessons, as well as to showcase the Rwanda Iecms system, which is a success to date. The event brought together more than 80 participants from across the world, and it was a big success. Apart from the Iecms, the project has also trained GRO staff on different topics. To start with, we've trained 111 staff on communication-related topics. So communication outreach and media relations, the use of social media, professional photography, as well as website content management. And we've received feedback from these staff about the improved content management, for example, on the institutional websites, as well as in doing the outreach in general in their activities. Also, apart from communication, we've trained 388 staff and officials from the justice sector institutions, as well as partner organizations in the sector, on gender equality and social inclusion, including disability inclusion. One of this training was meant for the directors of planners and budgeting officers to ensure that GSC components are included throughout all the stages of the activities, right from the planning, budgeting, implementation, and then monitoring and evaluation. Of course, I did also mention the training of monitoring and evaluation officers that we had, and this was one of the topics that we provided to them. Also, we've trained legal officers from the Access to Justice bureaus at the district level under the Ministry of Justice, commonly known as MAJ. We've trained them on a number of topics. One is on how to facilitate the Abunzi trainings. Actually, this training took place at the beginning, I mean before the Abunzi trainings, because during the Abunzi trainings, legal officers and other trainers on this project worked very closely with the major legal officers to deliver trainings to Abunzi, and that was very important. And it bared a lot of fruit. So we had to first do a training of trainers for the MAJ, or the MAJ legal officers. We also trained the MAJ legal officers on the use of the Iecms, and this was on both, I would say, both modules. There is a module that is being used in the courts and other criminal justice chain institutions, but there is also another module on the execution of court decisions, so which is a new one. We trained all the major legal officers on this one as well, the new module on the execution of court decisions. We also trained MAJ on the legal aid provision standards, as my colleague Victor did mention earlier. Apart from the MAJ legal officers, we've also trained members of the GROS district committees, specifically in the 5 districts that I mentioned, in which the project focused. These members of the committees have also been trained on a range of topics, as you can see: monitoring, communication, advocacy, key laws, and before the trainings, we actually did a consultation about the needs of these committee members in terms of capacity building. So that picture you can see, that's a consultative session that was being led by Mr. Anastase, in which we collected inputs from members of the committees in all the 5 districts, and we based on these inputs to frame the trainings, the topics of the trainings, and to develop the training materials. And then, in addition to the trainings that we provided, we also developed tools that were shared with the committee members. They include monitoring and evaluation tools, because as you may know, these committees, their main role, I would say, is about monitoring as well as providing feedback on the status of rule of law, access to justice at the district level. Of course, they also provide support to district level actors in this regard. So they do visits to prisons, to transit centers, to police stations in their mandate of monitoring. So we developed these M&E tools for them to use. And, you know, we developed them in collaboration with the Justice Sector Coordination Secretariat, and they were validated. Apart from the committee, the GROS committee members that were trained, we also reached 573 staff and officials, including 81 RCS staff and then local leaders, on these different topics: human rights, prisoners' rights, criminal procedures, judicial processes, reconciliation and integration. That picture is a group of RCS staff and officials that were being trained on prisoners' rights and human rights and criminal procedures in general. We've also supported other different events within the sector. So for example, the Judicial Week, which is being led by the Supreme Court. We supported that one in 2019. It actually happened, the launch of that event happened, took place at Marriott Hotel, and it was graced by the former Chief Justice, and we had other officials present. It also brought together more than 100 participants from, across the country, judges and other actors within the justice sector. It was a successful event, and also the week, the activities that followed later throughout the week, they were really successful. Another activity that we supported is the Justice Sector Umuganda, which is an annual event, apart from this year, 2020, because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We were unable to do it, but this is an activity that also brings together all justice sector actors, and we supported that as well in 2019. So among the challenges that were met is the significant demand for capacity building on the Iecms. We've trained all the actors that I mentioned, but there's still more that needs this training, as the Honorable Minister mentioned. For example, we did train prosecutors, but the number was small. So the prosecution did request us to reach out to all the prosecutors in the country. Also, non-professional bailiffs, we did train them, but we were only able to do that in Nyamasheke district. And that was partly because this new module on the execution of court judgments came later after the start of the project. So it wasn't factored in at the beginning of the project. But at least we were able to support one district. Then RIB, Rwanda Investigation Bureau, they've also been reaching out to us, asking for such a training on the Iecms. So this is an area that needs to continue to be supported. Then we faced an issue of internet connectivity in some places, especially with regard to the Iecms training, because this is a heavy system. So for example, apart from the trainings that we conducted at ILPD and here in Kigali in some hotels, but for example, we had to do other trainings up country, like the one I just talked about in Nyamasheke. We also had some other trainings, like the major trainings were conducted in Musanze, but that limited internet connectivity was an issue. And what we did after realizing that was to purchase a separate internet package to assist in these trainings. Some participants also didn't turn up as we expected, which was a challenge. And there is this example of the professional bailiffs. Also, in conducting the Abunzi trainings, there was a challenge of the season in which we had these trainings, the rainy season, and Abunzi are mainly using bicycles, and others had to travel by foot. So that in some areas affected the time that we could start our trainings. Then the lessons learned. Targeted capacity building is, of course, still needed. And these are some of the areas that we highlighted. which you observed that we need to continue supporting in terms of capacity building. There's gender, disability, and social inclusion. Actually, regarding this first topic, we observed that during the Abunzi trainings, women Abunzi were the most resistant to some GC aspects when we're doing these trainings. So in the next trainings, I think there is need to focus a lot on the women Abunzi. Probably it's because most of them, they're of old age, and probably there is that influence of the culture and the traditional in which they grew up. Then the other area is the legal education at the local level. That's an area that is still being needed. We had, when we were on the field, we received a lot of requests from local leaders to be trained, for example, on the execution of court decisions and on different kilos. So this is an area that there is still a lot of needs. Then on the Iecms training, we've done a lot as the project, but there is still more that needs to be done. For example, on the demand side, which is the general population that also needs to access this system, and they usually use cyber cafes or internet cafes. These internet operators need to be trained effectively on the system so that they offer good services to the people. Because whatever they do has an implication on the rights of the people. If there is any error that is being committed, for example, in submitting the case, that has an implication on, on the real lives of the people. So these internet cafe providers need to be trained, and not only to be trained, but what we've observed during the project is that there are also no way of coordinating their services. So it's also important, for example, to find a way of coordinating, harmonize their services, including on the charges that they request from the people that seek their services, because the charges are really different in different areas. So that's something that also needs to. And then, so we recommend that whenever possible, the Abunzi trainings should be conducted not in the rain season. So I thank you very much. That was the presentation on capacity building. And next, we are going to go now into the session of questions and answers. Thank you very much. Cable. Whoever has any questions, comments, clarifications, please let us know. We'll be having a 20 minutes. We are sorry because of the technical issues that you've had. We lost some minutes. We were supposed to finish our meeting at 11, but I beg that we take 20 minutes for the questions, comments that might be there. And then from there, we'll have the closing remarks. I also saw in the charts that the remarks from our Senior Vice President, Mrs. Victoria Cooper, the audio wasn't good, so we'll replay that one. And then from there, we'll have the representative of Usaid giving us the remarks. And then we'll hear from Mr. Anastase Nabahire to give us the closing remarks. I hope this time his connectivity will allow him. But what I also want to mention is that we'll be sharing all these presentations to you after the meeting. And we'll also kindly send you a very short survey to get your feedback on how the event went and any suggestions moving forward. So thank you very much, and welcome your questions, comments, and answers. The presenters will be able to, will be ready to intervene whenever necessary. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I can see Dr. Zikamwa, Dr. Zikamabahari. Can you please go ahead with your comment? Dr. Zikamabahari. We are unable to hear Dr. Zikamabahari. If there is anyone who wants to make comments, I can see Odette. Can we please hear from Mrs. Odette?
Thank you.
Members presented here. I'm Odette from Duteze. Duteze, I'm country director. Duteze is dignity in detention. I have one comment and one question. I can start by question. My question goes to Victor. I ask myself about why the women, I ask myself why the women are higher than men in the justice services. You have delivered different services, but the woman, the number of women are higher than men. Why?
Maybe we can have like 5 interventions, and we'll have the presenters respond to those 5 questions or comments.
The second, it is an observation or an added value during this activity. When, as the day we do the counseling, the group, the discussion, when we start to work with women prisoners who committed the genocide, who are ready to ask forgiveness. It was an extraordinary experience, since normally the women give life, and when you hear one who say she has taken life of children, she become killer, you understand the heaviness of everyone, of everything that has happened in our country. It is why it is necessary to continue this activity, because forgiveness and reconciliation take a long time, and when it is a woman, it took a long process. The second lesson learned by this during this project, it is a good practice by Usaid DIU activities because all stakeholders around this project, we have worked together, hand in hand. It was a good collaboration between civil society, a government institution like RCS, Unity and Reconciliation Committee, and different partners around this project. Thank you for Usaid DIU project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Odette. If there are any other comments, we also saw some questions in the chat. We'll be responding to those as well. But if there is any other participants that want to make comments, ask questions, please, you're welcome. I'll request that we be brief and straight to the point to allow more participants also to intervene. Thank you. Any other participants who want to intervene?
Yeah, I just have one question. It's related to what Odette was saying regarding the reconciliation. The reconciliation between the former prisoners and the members of the community. So my question goes to both DIDE and Prison Fellowship. So do you have in place some mechanisms to follow the sustainability of the achievements of this kind of intervention? If, for example, people are saying that they have reconciled, what do you have some mechanisms to know what is happening at the village, for example, after the end of this project, for example?
Thank you, Mr. Kalisa. Can we have another comment? Any other participant with a question or a comment? If there is no other participant, maybe we can be responding to these questions. I saw in the chat here Mr. Stefan was asking if there is any one key thing which will be different as a result of DIU, what would that be? Maybe other partners that we work together on the project, will intervene as well. But to me, the key result is related on to the Iecms. Our contribution to the Iecms has been really very significant in terms of capacity building. For example, some of the stories we've been hearing from judges and court registrars is that the time they've been spending on a case has significantly reduced due to this knowledge that they've gained from the comprehensive training that we gave them. For example, whenever they were handling the case, they had to reach out to the IT persons at the Supreme Court to call them, to guide them on, how sometimes to upload information and where to upload it. And of course, that took them time to finalize the case or to complete the case. So, but after the training, the information we've been getting is that, now they're able to quickly, handle the case at their level, and there is now very limited requests for interventions from the IT person. So that does not only ease the work of the judges, registrars, and other judicial personnel, but it also contributes to the timely access to justice that we are all advocating for. So to me, that's really standing out as one of the achievements of the project. Mr. Kailanga also did ask about the strategy of DIU partners moving forward with regard to the uncompleted activities. Maybe they also get time to intervene, but as the project leadership, we've also been thinking about this, and we've discussed it with the partners. And I also like to take this opportunity to thank our partners. For example, partners in legal aid. There are still a number of cases that are pending at this moment towards the end of the project. But the partner organizations did agree with their lawyers that they will continue to support these cases until the end. They have different mechanisms. Maybe Mr. Victor also get the opportunity to talk about it. But they have different mechanisms, including the pro bono lawyers, and who are usually supporting very vulnerable and poor people. So we've discussed about this, and most of the activities, and actually that was one of the criterion we looked at when we were selecting the partners. The activities they had to intervene in had to be in line with what they've been doing, all along, like their mission. So it became easier for them to continue with the pending activities. But they will get also, I think, time to talk about it. I think I will receive Mr. Victor to make comments on some of the questions that were asked.
Thank you, Frank. Odette from Duteze has asked why the women have been identified as the most served by this project, especially in as far as legal aid services are concerned. Yes, she's right. And the figures that you have seen on the charts are not only related to the DIU projects. The same figures or similar figures are even reflected in other legal aid projects. Why? We have not conducted any research on why women are more and more seeking legal aid, but we thought as legal aid providers that this is a result of efforts that have been invested by legal aid providers, including state and non-state actors in legal aid. So for us, we saw that as a good result, as a good achievement, because in the past, women have been considered as a group of people that had not right to claim for their rights. But with the promotion of women here in Rwanda, with education programs that have been conducted countrywide on human rights, I think now this is the result, where we see women coming to seek for information, because if you see on the charts, definitely you will find that women have been the most served groups in different legal aid services except criminal cases. For example, on legal representation, let me say that these are figures that are concerning legal assistance in criminal matters. So there we have more men than women. I think you saw the charts, but when we, at the Bar Association, the Legal Aid Forum, and the other legal aid providers, so currently women have that tendency of actually seeking information regarding their rights, especially in civil and social, administrative, land, inheritance, GBV, you know, those kind of what we can call in the society like petty claims as compared to very serious cases like criminal cases. That's why the statistics that we have on children that are assisted in criminal matters, we have 91% of the assisted minors are boys. 9 are women, because those are very serious cases, criminal cases. The legal aid services that we provide through pro bono service, the Bar Association, in criminal matters, we got more than 90% are men, 9 are women, but in civil, so women have a right to move, you know, to get what they have not been able to know at their homes from their neighbors. And I think this is something that we can be proud of, because now women are really being visible in these processes. So that's why the women are coming to get legal information. They are seeking information to know, so that they can be able to know their rights, so that they can be able to know how they can be seen in the development of the country. So how their rights can be protected within and out of the families. So I think that may be the result. But the good thing is that the higher statistics in legal aid for women, we see them in civil, but not in criminal matters. So I think that the reason that we can share, but other legal aid providers like Prison Fellowship, Legal Aid Forum, Haguruka, and yourself, the DIU, maybe you may have some other reasons that supplement minds, because we all know that why women are now being seen in these access to justice processes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Victor. Maybe just 2 comments, I mean 2 points that I can add on Victor's remarks. One is that we've seen an increase in number of GBV cases, especially during this period of COVID-19. So probably that could also have contributed to the number of assisted women to be high. And I think it's not only here in Rwanda, but you know, worldwide, we've been hearing this this news that, you know, GBV cases have increased. So to respond to that, because as you know, at certain points the movements were limited for people. So we established a toll-free line with Haguruka on which GBV victims could call, but we've also been receiving, of course, other people requesting for legal aid. But with this toll-free line that was established at the beginning, I mean, immediately after the lockdown was ended, we've seen a lot of, you know, people calling on the toll-free line, and the biggest majority is women. So probably that rise in GBV cases could also have contributed. Another point is that during the awareness activities on the field, community dialogues and other meetings we've had at the community level, always the biggest majority are women. So that could also probably be contributing to the number of women coming up to claim for their rights, because it's through these community meetings, these awareness campaigns, that we are giving people information about their rights. So, and as I said, a significant majority is always women in these community meetings. So I just wanted to add those 2 points on Victor's remarks. I would like to request Mr. Jean-Paul from Prison Fellowship Rwanda to comment on Kalisa's question about any strategy moving forward regarding our achievements on reconciliation and reintegration.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank, and thank you for this question. And I think it's very relevant to think about sustainability of this intervention, because if we don't have the mechanism in place, we cannot really achieve our results, and we cannot really monitor the progress or the impact of our intervention. So I'll say that the mechanisms that are in place is that in whatever we do, we collaborate with the local authorities. We empower the local authorities in the process, and we build their capacity to own the process in whatever we do. So that's one of the mechanisms that we have in place. But of course, among the graduates, the prisoners, the community, so we create associations, we create clubs, both in prisons and the communities, to ensure sustainability of the graduates or the interventions. We make sure that those people who went through the program, they are really connected. They share their stories, they share their experiences, but also they think beyond the intervention. We have seen that most of the cases, some graduates, they have really taken another path to development. They have some activities that they are conducting in the community, whereby you can see genocide survivors working closely with the families of the genocide prisoners. So, but of course, in the community, we ensure that these trained facilitators, they do regular monitoring. They pay a visit to those people who went through the program. And those facilitators, they regularly report to us whenever there is an intervention that's needed from Prison Fellowship Rwanda or DIU. Some people from our offices, they go through and support those facilitators to really respond immediately to any case or any challenge that they are facing. But of course, to ensure sustainability, both in prison and community, we ensure that, of course, we are engaging these people, these unity and reconciliation mobilizers, those that we call our Kangurambaga Umwe n'Ubwiyunge in Kinyarwanda. So we link those people, the graduates, with these mobilizers to ensure that they are aware of what's going on, and to ensure that they are also taking part in terms of coordination. So, but of course, we work closely in hand with others groups to ensure sustainability, and I'll say that we continue to empower those groups, those clubs, to really ensure that they are really disseminating the message. Like in prison, the clubs, they are really supportive because they disseminate the message. They are using different techniques to really attract more prisoners to join our interventions. Even in the community, we are using these graduate people who went through the program to really disseminate the results of the intervention and to ensure that the sustainability is in place and effective in the community. Because most of the cases, we empower those who went through the program to train others. So I would say that we really need to look after the people who went through the program in terms of building their capacity, in terms of developing some initiatives, some livelihood initiatives that will help them, but also to ensure that they are linked with different local initiatives that are in place in the community. Maybe if my colleague from DIU has any addition, she can complement, but I think that those are the mechanisms that are in place so far. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jean-Paul. I can see there were like two more questions in the chat. One asking about how we've been working with other partners, non-direct DIU partners. I would say that we've worked actually with all the partners that had a relationship with our interventions. and specifically through the Justice Sector Secretariat. We've been active in all the events that were organized by the Sector Secretariat, from planning, assessment, and then reporting. So the coordination and synergies have been done through the Secretariat, and of course in these different meetings that have been facilitated by the Justice Sector Secretariat, we've been meeting different partners and of course sharing lessons learned and the best practices. On this aspect of also collaborating with other partners, we actually had to adjust some of our areas of intervention in regard to accommodate these other partners. For example, the prisons initially that we had thought to work in, after consulting with the RCS and looking at other partners that are working in prisons, we had to move to some other prisons so that there is not a concentration of assistance in some prisons, whereas in others there is no assistance. So we've been working with all relevant partners to avoid duplication and to ensure that the assistance goes to where it's most needed. The other question about future perspectives. As we said, for some activities that are pending, the partners will be able to move them forward. And we'll, of course, continue to work together to see that these pending needs are being implemented, even if not directly by Kemonix International, but other partners. I think such a forum is a good platform to raise and share this information, and then it can be taken forward with whoever is able to contribute. So on that, and considering that we are already late on our agenda, I would like to stop the comments and questions here. But I would say that whoever has any further questions or comments, we are available. We'll be sharing, after this meeting, we'll be sharing our contacts, but even in the emails that we sent, invitation emails, there is already our contact. So whoever wants to reach out to us, on anything, we are available. And as I said, we'll be sharing all these materials with you. So on this note, and as we conclude our meeting, I'd like to welcome the Usaid representative, Mr. Dennis, who is the director of the Office for Governance and Democracy, to give us his remarks. And then later, as was commented by a lot of presenters, we'll replay the remarks from our Senior Vice President, and then we'll have Mr. Anastase Nabahire to close our event. Thank you very much. I welcome Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Frank. First, let me extend my sincere thanks to the Minister of Justice for his deep support to this activity and for his presence in the event today. Honorable Director Generals, faith leaders, representatives of civil society organizations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of Leslie Marbury, the Usaid Mission Director for Rwanda, I'm honored to speak to you today at the DIU virtual closeout event. As you've heard today, DIU was a $7.2 million USAID-supported program to increase access to justice and enhance the rule of law in Rwanda through improving judicial effectiveness in both formal court mechanisms and Abunzi community justice, and also improving public understanding of the judicial system processes and legal rights. The prime contractor, Kemonix International, is implementing DIU in conjunction with our consortium, Search for Common Ground, Hagaruka, Transnational Development Associations, and EDF Consulting. In order to address the range of objectives of DIU, including increasing access to quality legal aid and advocacy for youth and vulnerable populations in accessing justice, Kemonix is also implementing the DIU activity with subcontractor Synergy, local subcontractor the Institute for Legal Practice and Development, and grantee organizations IPEACE, D-Day, Prison Fellowship Rwanda, the Professional Bailiffs Association, Rwanda Bar Association, Legal Aid Forum, the Association de la Jeunesse pour la Promotion des Droits et Développement, National Union of Disability Organizations of Rwanda, and Lawyers of Hope. And we certainly extend our appreciation to all the organizations that helped implement this very important activity. DIU covered 5 districts, as we heard, Gasabo, Nairuguru, Musanze, Bugesera, and Naimasheke, connecting local and national government representatives, non-governmental organizations, citizens, and community leaders through activities that enhance access to justice and improve both the formal and community justice systems. Rwanda has made advances in recent years in terms of its rule of law and justice sector indicators and outcomes, and has done particularly well in reducing the number of people living in poverty. Commendably, these accomplishments in the justice sector include the paperless system called the Iecms, which we have already heard about today, in the Rwandan courts. For the past 3 years, DIU has contributed to helping USAID achieve its wider mission to promote and strengthen the rule of law in Rwanda. The goal for USAID Rwanda's 2020 to 2025 country development cooperation strategy is Rwanda has the strengthened human capital, robust private sector, and accountable institutions required to advance self-reliance. To achieve this goal, USAID Rwanda continues to partner with the government of Rwanda, other donors, the private sector, and civil society across sectors to address challenges in the areas of human capacity, private sector development, and voice and accountability to achieving Rwanda's journey to self-reliance. Through DIU, USAID supported the training of a total of 551 judges and court registrars on the use of the Iecms. The Iecms, of course, is a system used by all justice chain institutions, with the judiciary being the main actor and beneficiary of that system. All litigants are now required to submit their claims through the system, and judicial proceedings and correspondences are done within the system, reducing the time to process cases. DIU also worked to improve the functionality of the Iecms system, such as the appeals functionality, which enables the automatic combining of similar cases within the system and so reduces human errors and facilitates the work of court registrars, as well as the litigants who want to appeal their cases. And we also saw that DIU supported a study tour to Estonia, one of the most advanced countries in e-justice, in which 5 members of the judiciary participated with the aim of continuing to learn from others and exploring opportunities to expand the use of ICT in justice delivery and in improving judicial performance. DIU also expanded community justice activities, establishing and strengthening the capacity of Abunzi in 5 target districts. USAID is proud to partner with the government of Rwanda, civil society, private sector, and communities to build sustainable and lasting solutions to address the challenges in the justice sector. In today's event, the closeout of the DIU activity is a celebration of all the DIU achievements that we have heard today and the people who have been benefited by this program that will have positive and lasting impacts on the sustainable rule of law in Rwanda. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the government of Rwanda for its support and partnership, including the Ministry of Justice, the Supreme Court, and district mayors, to name just a few. I also want to thank again the civil society organizations and especially the communities that partnered with DIU. We achieved all of these successes together. And finally, congratulations to Kemonix International and its partners on successfully implementing this 3-year activity that touched so many lives and led to notable concrete results in the justice sector in Rwanda. Again, thank you very much.
Max, and I would like to deeply thank you for your time to be with us today. I'd also like to thank Mr. Guillaume Buchana, who has been our COR on this project from the USAID side. He has been very supportive on the project and providing us with the daily guidance. So thank you, Mr. Guillaume. As I mentioned, we began our meeting with the remarks from our Senior Vice President for East and Southern Africa, but participants were unfortunately able to hear her remarks. So I would like to request that before we receive Mr. Anastase Nabahire to close our today's meeting, that we take just these 3 minutes to hear from Mrs. Cooper. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Victoria Cooper, the Senior Vice President of the East and Southern Africa region at Kemonix International, the prime contractor of the Rwanda DIU activity. It is a pleasure to be with you today virtually to celebrate the accomplishments of this activity. I would like to thank my distinguished colleagues from USAID, various government of Rwanda entities, and the Rwandan and international organizations for their continued perseverance in increasing access to justice for citizens of Rwanda. We have seen solid strides in increased access to legal services, users empowered in the integrated electronic case management system, and bridges built to further the reconciliation of prisoners and their communities. Investing in this system ensures that all persons, regardless of their status, have access to representation with real-time data and facts. Equipping the Abunzi ensures that issues may be resolved before entering the formal court system. Now, when issues need that additional attention, they are able to be tracked from start to finish. With the support of USAID through the Rwanda DIU activity, we have seen Rwandan organizations advance their internal systems and technical fortitude in providing access to justice. To highlight a few noteworthy examples, the DIU activity built the capacity of more than 6,500 justice sector actors, including 2,836 Abunzi on mediation skills and peaceful conflict resolution. 507 judges and court registrars were trained on the effective use of the integrated electronic case management system. 2,311 lawyers and legal providers and 486 officials and staff from the justice sector institutions were trained on different topics, including on gender equality and disability inclusion. More than 10,000 victims, prisoners, family members, and community members participated in facilitated reconciliation and integration activities. Through USAID support, DIU partners provided counseling, healing, and dialogue sessions. Over 500 prisoners were able to voluntarily seek forgiveness from and reconcile with their victims and/or their families. Over 7,000 individuals, including detainees, benefited from legal aid services both in and out of the court system. Today's event represents how far we've come and how our efforts together have resulted in true impact. Throughout this process, USAID has been extremely gracious and supporting of the productive partnership we enjoy with the Rwandan justice sector, and we are honored to have the opportunity to collaborate with you on this important work. Thank you to the phenomenal dedication of our DIU team members, the partners' passion and dedication to fulfilling their mandates, and the cooperation with all the many stakeholders. We are confident the Rwandan justice sector will continue to utilize and sustain these systems, processes, and procedures to the benefit of the Rwandan people.
For your kind attention, as we are listening to Mrs. Cooper, Victoria, we also appreciate the support that we've been receiving throughout the project from our headquarters to ensure its success. Thank you very much, Cooper and the team from the headquarters for the support. At this moment, we've come to almost the end of our meeting, and we are going to receive Mr. Anastase Nabahire. I believe the internet connectivity issues have now been resolved to give us the closing remarks for this meeting. Thank you. Welcome, Mr.
Thank you,
Anastasi.
Mr. Moderator. Thank you very much, Mr. Coordinator. The Director in charge of governance and democracy in Usaid, Madam the Senior Vice President, different leaders here present in this meeting, ladies and gentlemen, I have previously faced serious problems of connectivity due to the site in which I was participating to a meeting out of my office, which exactly caused serious problems, but I'm now back into my office, and I'm very happy to join you again. And congratulate everyone for what has been realized during this long journey. We started together. It makes exactly 3 years. Once we are at the end of a program like this one, a long journey, different participants, different presenters talked of dissonance, talked of challenges, and tried to look or to say something on the way forward. But when you exactly look at what has been realized, we may simply note many and many lessons from this partnership and collaboration that characterized the working of the two American people and Rwandan people in cooperation, but also different actors who directly represented the two people in this project. I do hope that each of us do remember how Usaid, the local team of Usaid, started consultations with each of us throughout our institutions to identify the needs to be responded to. You do remember the way several organizations or representatives from organizations based in America visited Rwanda and singular institutions to discuss with the leaders, technicians, looking at different instruments that are used throughout our institutions and throughout our sector, making a kind of needs assessment process. These several organizations were intended to participate to a kind of a competition for the implementation of this project. And what I personally observed, and that I hope each of us observed, has been the impressive capability to quickly understand the Rwandan context, to quickly going through key guiding tools that govern our sector, being global agendas, regional ones, the national strategy for transformation, the justice sector strategic plan, institutional action plans and strategies, and all of these members of several institutions that were, companies that were competing, went quickly through our documents and finally have been able to exactly complete a process from which finally we've been informed that it is Kemonix that has to implement the project. And I need to remind everyone how again started in new consultations between Kemonix representatives, Kemonix staff, small staff actually, accompanied by the local team of Usaid throughout our institutions, depending on what has been expressed as needs, as priorities. And this is an important process through which we went through a process that allowed this project to be successfully realized. Once these implementers, our contacts with Kemonix representatives was done, then we started implementing policy actions, and as shown into different presentations, realizations, achievements are so many, even though needs are still remaining, even though challenges are still remaining. And this is not surprising. Human beings keep evolving, and new needs have to exactly express themselves. Once we realize some projects, facts and realizations do inform our minds and open our brains to exactly look at new horizons, which would mean that we still have many things to do for our people. But we have to recognize that we have been strong, and we are strong from what we have realized and from the experience we have gained through this project. Let me recognize special characteristics that have been shown by the Kemonix team. I don't know whether it is due to the simple fact that USAID recruited skilled people from outside, but at least we may recognize that the recruitment process of both USAID and Kemonix has been a serious factor that contributed to the success of this project. Both local staff of the project and external ones were showing themselves as familiarized with the Rwandan context and culture, and both were characterized by a kind of dynamism, easy communication, flexibility, teamwork, and these kinds of adaptability to new situations, this flexibility to involve new actors, this permanent open eye and capability to listen to different partners and draw together new actions to be implemented. In this, I would like to seriously thank USAID for what the local team did in this country. I need to, on behalf of the Minister of Justice, to congratulate what Kemonix realized in this project. And I actually congratulate each of you for what, on a singular or collectively, has been done by one or another. And to not take long, what we have to recognize is that, as previously said, once we start implementing a project, new needs express themselves, new opportunities express themselves, and opening our brains, we look at a new horizon. So it is normal that at the end of this project, we do still face needs and challenges. And the purpose of our presence is to continue working on this, thinking about this, and make sure we continuously stand for more improved and more improved collaboration. Many of us ask the questions relating to what next, and no one actually covered or tried to respond to. And what I do think is that given the context, the transition in the governance of the United States of America, you have to wait a bit. You have to wait a bit and wait for a new process that will have its time to start. And what is needed from both government institutions, civil society organizations, and the private sector members is to work on what has been expressed as new needs, new challenges, new strategies, to simply prepare ourselves in aligning small, medium, and big projects that will be discussed with the Usaid team, the local team, as well as the new one that, the new perspective that will be drawn by the Usaid Corporation, because the partnership and the cooperation between the people of America and the people of Rwanda will continue. I do wish that the transition will not take long, and I hope that this journey has strengthened our cooperation and will exactly constitute a serious foundation for next steps. Let me wish long life, friendship, and bilateral cooperation between the people of America and the people of Rwanda. Let's thank the government of the United States of America for its good and sustained partnership. I thank you all for your attention. I thank you all for what you have done to contribute to the success of this big and good project. Thank you.
Thank you for those remarks from Mr. Anastase. I would also like to use this final moment to deeply thank Mr. Anastase and his team. They've been very supportive, extremely supportive throughout the project. As you saw, the activities have been concerning different institutions within the sector, and we couldn't reach all those institutions without their support. So they've been really a coordinating body as they are, and they've supported a lot on all these achievements to be realized. So thank you, Mr. Anastase, and the whole team in the Secretariat. On this note, I would like to thank all the participants. You've given us your precious time. We are very grateful to that. And I would end by mentioning again that we'll be sharing with you all the presentations that were done today, as well as other materials of the project. I also would like to kindly request you that you respond to our short survey about the event that we'll be sending to you soon. I saw it was already, it has already been shared in the chat, but we'll also be sending it to you on your email, so we kindly request that you give us your feedback. I also take this opportunity to wish you a happy new year 2021. Thank you very much.